Imagine you're far from home, yet each time you look up at the night sky, you remember the woods and forests of Europe, its rivers and fields, its bustling cities, and its many peoples. One star reminds you, Venus, the star of the morning. That was the experience of one expatriate, writing from Japan. His nostalgia for his home became a symbol of a new and big idea, the vision of a Europe that held the rights of everyone with respect, that protected democracy, and that put fairness and justice to the forefront. That one morning star became 12 golden stars against an azure blue background, the European flag that flies today in towns and villages, at celebrations and international meetings in London, Berlin and Istanbul, and even once flew on the International Space Station. It was the early 50s, and the Council of Europe was in its infancy. The foreign ministers of the newly formed organisation, meeting as the Committee of Ministers, decided it was time to find their flag. What did they do? They decided to ask the people of Europe. Ideas flooded in from every corner, bright and bold, geometric, stripy and swirly. There was one that looked like the US flag. There was a play on the Olympic circles. There was even one featuring that well-known European animal, the tiger. None of them quite hit the mark until they opened that letter from Japan and knew that the rising star said it all. But there was a problem. The star was already in use. It was the flag of the Belgian Congo, later to become the Democratic Republic of Congo. Back to the drawing board the ministers went, and eventually came up with a new idea, 12 stars on a blue background. The new design was packed with symbolism. Stars have their own heraldic significance. Independence, liberty, unity, renewal and hope. The European stars are pentagrams, a shape Pythagoras claimed as perfection itself, as you can draw them without taking pen from paper. And of course, it is a map of a human being, 1 point for the head and 1 point for each of the arms and legs. Think of Da Vinci's Vitruvian Man. The stars are dancing together in a circle, in harmony, not blocking each other or creating a wall. It shows a group of countries open to the world. Then there's the circle. A circle has no beginning or end. It flows back into itself, a sign of harmony. The colour blue, traditionally the colour of Europe, was also a good choice for the ministers, many of whom represented countries that were still deeply Catholic, where the azure blue of the Virgin Mary's cloak and the stars of her crown as Queen of Heaven were immediately recognisable in any church. But 12 stars? Now that was a bit harder. It seemed sensible to choose a star for each Council of Europe member, and at that time there were 14. One problem. One of those was the Saarland, not a country at all, but a region that had been left over from the Second World War and which would eventually become part of Germany. What about 13? No, said the superstitious ministers. We'll bad luck the whole project. So 12 it was. 12 for the months of the year, the hours of a day and the hours of night. 12 for the gods of Egypt and Greece, for the signs of the zodiac, the labours of Hercules, and the nights of the round table. 12 for the tribes of Israel, for the gates to the New Jerusalem, and for the apostles of Jesus. And it stays 12. Even when the Council of Europe grew and grew, even after the European Union adopted the flag and went from 12 members to 15 to more. In the 1980s, the Council of Europe agreed to a request from the European Union, then the European Community, to share the flag. Since no one had ever thought of copyrighting the design, there was no ownership per se, and the flag began to be flown in the official buildings in Brussels and Luxembourg, in the European Parliament and the Commission. Confusing, not least because the Council of Europe and the European Council sound pretty much the same, even to expert ears. A lot of people came to think of the flag as the EU flag, wondering why it appeared in non-EU Norway and Switzerland, why it flew in Istanbul and Kiev, and why they could still spot it in the UK after Brexit. No confusion really. The flag is the European flag, and it flies wherever a country is proud to be a member of the continent's first ever international organisation, and to be part of its ongoing mission to build a better Europe.